Once again, welcome everybody. My name is Francesco. I'm here in behalf of the Fab City Foundation, and I will be the moderator for this event. This is, as stated in the newsletter and the social media, a series of events that consist in different online roundtables that are integral to the PENS project. The PENS project, it's a European project funded under the CERF call. And these events are designed to foster collaboration among citizens, professionals from the cultural and creative industries, and local policymakers as well, all aim at promoting an ecological transition towards sustainable and resilient urban environments. Today, we have Mickey. The title of this roundtable is Community-Driven Sustainable Futures. And in particular, this roundtable will explore how urban networks and waste management practices rooted in the circular economic principles can support sustainable urban development. Taking inspiration from initiatives like Abono Kilometro Zero, a community composting project that turns organic waste into local value, we will look at how regenerative design can be woven into city planning. This conversation will emphasize the importance of local action and community-driven resilience in shaping more sustainable and adaptable urban ecosystem. So I hope that the people that were in the waiting room have been accepted, and I would like to leave the floor to Mickey. So Mickey, welcome on board. The stage is yours. If you feel presenting and introducing yourself, you're more than welcome.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. Actually, I've known the Fab City ecosystem for a while now, and I'm more than honored to be a part of this roundtable and being able to share our experience with Abono Kilometro Cero here in Barcelona, where we have been tackling needs, we have been tackling challenges, we have been tackling ourselves because it's a story with almost 5 years now of cumulative and compound effect in the direction of regenerative systems. We, at the moment, are experts and one of the go-to projects regarding organic matter. I don't actually like to say waste, but we, of course, we all know that if it wasn't regeneratively and sustainably and with a circular approach addressed to, it would be a waste. So I will be switching in and out of the concept of waste, mostly to shed some light on it, but also using the word materials because I think it's an important aspect of rethinking the way we produce and we reuse resource things. So I did this presentation. I will share with you just a moment, please. The slides. They are. Oh, here they are. Share screen. Let me know if you're able to see the slides.
Yes, now yes.
Okay, great.
Super.
I'll go into full screen. Where is it? Here it is. Full screen. So this is going to be a narrative across the years and the story of Abono Kilometro Zero, because I think it's the place where we can learn the most about it, because actually the biotechnology of composting and vermicomposting, which are the two that we mainly use, is widely known. There's a ton of informations about it, like the worms that are used in vermicomposting are the same ones that have been used for centuries. Composting is a naturally occurring phenomena that has happened since the history of time. So my idea is not to dwell much into technological aspects. Of course, I'm more than welcome to share data if there's anyone that wants some metrics and some numbers about it. But I think the most enriching and the most important aspect of this story is the story per se of how we got there. Like And so when I started thinking about this community based, I thought about, like, first of all, what's community, right? And we ourselves here are a small community, and feel more than welcome to stop me, raise your hands. I will be looking at the slides. I'm not looking at you at the moment. I can toggle back and forth, but please stop me, please do the questions, because that's where we get the value of our presentation. So we are abono kilómetro cero, and it's important for us to translate that to an English or to a lingua franca. Abono means fertilizer, and kilómetro cero, it's like the 0 kilometer of distance, which, so abono kilómetro cero would translate directly to local fertilizer. Kilometro zero is a concept that you see widely spread here in the Mediterranean regarding the production of food. Like, you have kilometro zero apples, you have kilometro zero salaries, you have kilometro zero and nuts. But we realized there were no kilometro zero fertilizers. That most fertilizers were produced like way far away from where they were used, and also the city was being a net consumer of resources, and it was emitting problems and waste. And our leitmotif of this project was turning the city into a net resource generator. We have most of the food waste produced in the cities already in the cities. So we started tackling this idea and this concept of rethinking the city as a net resource producer, outmaker. And it all started in 2019. That's the year. There's a subtitle for each year, with which I say 2019 was the year of play, not only because of pressing play, but also because we play. We were having fun. We had no idea whatsoever where we were going to. I had just moved to Barcelona. I come from a civil engineering background. I met here with my business partner Diego, who is also from engineering, but from agricultural engineering background. We were both newly arrived at Barcelona. It was a place of new ideas, of new horizons. It was a moment everybody was chill. Still, COVID was nothing to be seen at the scenery. We were playing, and we started, as all big projects start, really bottom up. We started really, really down in the bottom, in this urban garden that's called Bioma. It's a community. Once again, the word community urban garden in the middle of Barcelona, which is a place that people went. It's still open. We actually still go there often. It's a place where people go and share. People meet each other. You touch the soil in a city that's densely populated. You don't have much access to green and to soil. So urban gardens, community gardens, is a great place to go and meet people and meet the soil, meet nature. And
Mickey,
yes.
sorry to interrupt you. I don't know if you have changed slide, but we are still seeing the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yes, I actually changed it.
yeah.
Oh, wait. Let me see if I switch out of full screen mode.
Okay.
Do you see here?
We can see your, yeah, the PDF. If you scroll, yeah, now it changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So sorry, 2019, press play, and also play, as in make it fun, without a goal, without an idea, without metrics, without KPIs, just for the sake of it, because we enjoyed what we were doing. I was working at this community garden, and my business associate Diego, as I told you, he was also working with communities, but virtual communities. He was a YouTuber. He was making contents for YouTube about home composting, and he came with this idea of. He told me, "Hey, let's do here at the garden a community compost site." And I said, "What's that?" Because I had composted before, but I've never done it communitary. And he said, "It's like we do a huge pile or a huge heap of compost, and all the neighbors will bring over here their food scraps, and we'll do one big, well done compost for everyone. So we share resources and we share the benefits of it." I said, "Hey, yeah, I love it." We kept on tinkering with technology and stuff, and it started just as making an opening at the grill of the garden and placing a sign and a waste container at the back, a waste bin at the back, so that people around the neighborhood could come over and drop their food scraps. Really low cost, really high life, as we like to say. It was, as I was saying, a bottom-up project, which I think it's like the way to introduce technologies and new schemes into cities. We started developing our first vermicompost beds. These are large-scale worm bins. These are done with, it's again circular economy applied. Those are standard for warehouses. When you go and buy supplies at a warehouse or stuff, they usually store their pallets in this kind of scaffolding. It's called mechalux. And we bought one of them, a second use. It was from a scrapyard. And we reinterpreted it, and we used textiles to develop what you will see in a couple of slides, our first prototype. We started playing with compost. We started doing like high efficiency composting. I often share this picture and say that's not a barbecue, that's not an asado, that's vapor, that's steam coming out of the compost cases. Because you know when you do compost, temperatures should rise, and temperatures rose a lot. And slowly we were still doing doing it for fun. Each one of us was having their own day jobs, their 9 to 5s, and we built these vermicomposting. It's continuous flux. These are scaffolds, these mechalux scaffolds, lined with transpirable but watertight textiles. And as you see at the bottom, there's no bottom per se. There is a grill where you scrape the freshly done vermicomposting. So you feed it from the top part and you harvest it from the bottom part. That's why it's called a continuous flux. Okay, everything was beautiful. We were having fun, but in 2020, things changed. So lockdown came, but for us, lockdown was also a look up, because we were able to raise our heads. For the first time, we were having time for us. People were chilling in their houses. Well, chilling as a sort of, it's a matter of speech, no? It's like, it was a different time that people had time to really see how they responded and how they behaved towards their own waste. They, for the first time in the recent history, people were stuck in their houses and they saw with their own eyes the waste that they were producing. And so we had this Instagram that we launched, and really fast, lots of people started writing to us. There was it spread really fast, the word of mouth of that we were doing community composting in Barcelona, and they even started sending us pictures of their food scraps from home. And the first time we stopped talking about waste and we started seeing them as resources, as something valuable. People were starting to fall in love with their food scraps, and I think that was one of the first aha moments we had. It was beautiful, and there was a really, really fast and positive response from the community, from the public. And I don't know how it was back in your homes, but in Barcelona, for example, we were locked down, but we were able to. If you had a permit, you have to like self emit a permit to walk around the city, because depending on your activities. And so we realized that waste management was an essential activity for the city. So we sort of like emitted to ourselves these permits, and we kept going to the garden to take care of the composting site. And luckily, we were never stopped by any policeman. But I was a dead certain that we were being of a vital use for the community. So we went back and forth, and that gave us the opportunity to be sort of like in the lockdown, but with permits to walk around the city. It was beautiful, and the voice spread not only to the households, but also, for example, a couple of blocks down from the garden, there's a jail, right? A jailhouse, a prison, and they have this service to eliminate of destruction of documents. And actually, what we saw was that the cleaning ladies were just getting these bags full of strips of paper, and they were throwing it away to the town hall, to the bins, no, from to the street bins. And we started telling, no, give them to us. That's the way we're gonna introduce carbon and structure to our compost. So now the compost site was not only beginning to be of use to households, but also to companies. So we were providing a service of documental destruction in a sort of way. It was a really fun moment. And we had time, and when you have time, you start thinking about the 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 lookings of the project, and so we developed a logo. That's the logo you see over here. That's a banana peel that a girl it was the starting of remote working, and we had this girl at the Islas Canarias, the Canary Islands, and she made us this beautiful banana concept stencil, and we added the circular aspect to it. We saw so much so many projects regarding like farm to fork, like from the farm back again to the farm, but we wanted to put in the middle, in the center, the waste. So we developed this logo. That is how the way we some organic waste can create more organic waste. Waste in the middle. We loved it. And when you have a logo, what's the first thing you do? Merge, right? So we started having some merge. And at this moment was one of the first breakthroughs. We, as the community garden, was visited often by lots of people that were really implied and had this sensitivity towards food systems. We met this guy that was working with the Slow Food Barcelona community. Slow food, if you haven't heard about it, is this concept that is opposed, of course, to fast food, and puts in the middle the idea of the richness and the quality of food, locally sourced, slowly consumed and shared in a table. That Mediterranean concept of being in the table, sharing the moment, having being aware of what you're eating. That's slow food. And it started in Italy, and now it's spread quite across the globe. And in Barcelona here, they have a farmers market every Saturday. And so we were invited to this farmers market to have this drop off point. You remember that we had this drop off point with a small window in the garden, and suddenly this market said, "Hey, this is an interesting thing for our community, for our clients that go to the farmers markets and buy their produces every Saturday. We should juxtapose. We should make ends meet here." So we went with this idea of a drop-off point. We had nothing. We just had these glass jars. We had a logo. We had not even designed or thought about the containers that we should use. But we knew, and we still know that sometimes opportunity or the world knocks at your door, and you have to be able to open. You have to be able to open the door and say yes, right? Um, Actually, this picture is the first lady that dropped her organic waste, and we were able to measure it and to weigh it, and it was a beautiful moment. uh, and talking about circularity, we started the project from the beginning with the idea of this is not only waste management, but we have to be able to give back something to the user, right? Because if not, the user is still linear. If the user is just a person that will go and throw their waste away, their trash, first of all, they're gonna throw trash. They're gonna throw the organics with plastics, with glass, with, you name it. We have to involve the producer, which is not anymore a person that throws the garbage away, but it's a user and a producer of compost. And so this was the first time we harvested compost and we were giving back to the community, which was one of the stepping stones, the most important stepping stones for us, because we started closing the loop, and people couldn't believe us. And it's something so simple. It's like you give me your organic leftovers, we compost it, we give it back to you, but we're so separated from this possibility of being circular, of being a producer and a consumer at the same time, that when somebody bridges it and gives you back an item of value, the concept of the users shift completely. And so we started having like close to 100% pureness in organic. You know that in science there is no 100%, but we had little to nothing plastics. we still get some banana, the stickers of the bananas, or maybe a tap of a water bottle, but that's it. Actually, it's almost 100% pure. And this was the first time we came back. We packed this by hand. We had never worked before with retail or with products. I came from construction. My business partner came from farm, so we never produced any item. And so we packaged these compost bags by hand. It took us forever. They were every package was different from the other, but it was full of love, and it was really well received. And when you start having a project that has already tested all its intermediate points, like we were receiving, we were composting, and we were giving back, this really fast rose the interest of people, and we started to develop the second herb, no, the second fractal of community. We have a first fractal of an inner core of community, which is the concept, the narrative that is worldwide. It can be replicated and it can be assimilated in any place of the world. But then we believe that the second sphere of community is the community involved, right? The team, the what we call equipo kilómetro cero. You may see here at the end, equipo kilómetro cero. So we started developing this team. We remember it was still COVID, clubs were not open, we were not able to go and dine outside. So what's better than get together with a group of interesting people, motivated and involved into changing the reality of organic waste of your city. That also pushed us to develop a structure, an inner structure of our own project. So we developed the areas, the lines of work, the objectives. We put names into everything. We divided tasks, and we started slowly became fully functional work for a project that it had a soul, a concept, and a team. And this was one of the also key moments for us when we saw all these beautiful people involved, each one giving value from a different angle. For example, this guy over here, Juliano, was the guy that presented us to this farmers market. Then we have Lena, who is a civil engineer expert in supply chain, and then you will see in the latest slide how she introduced us to the business service. Then we have people that work with design. It was a beautiful group of people, because we also always have in mind and have present that we're tackling a complex struggle, a complex challenge. Lots of times ungrateful, so you have to love what you do and you have to have fun. And a team needs also a pet, so we bought this rundown bike. We and in this garden again, as a community, we transformed it into our first logistics vehicle. Of course, we don't use that bike anymore. She's over there right in front of me. She's like the old horse that's left to have to grass in the farm. No, she's over here. She will be with us for a while. And we also developed the educational area of Abono Kilometro Cero. Abono Kilometro Cero is based on four areas: administration, which is papers, contracts, financings, all the matrix behind, right? All the administrative and associative tasks. Production and logistics, which is the muscle. It's the area that recovers, transports, stores, digests, composts, harvests, sieves, and packages the compost. Then we have community and design, which is also the community, not only the physical but the the the, the digital community of Abono Kilometro Cero, networks, social networks, design, graphics, etc. And we have a fourth area, really large, that's called education and social action. That has it started right from the beginning, and it's also a really important and really strong part inside Abono Kilometro Cero that represents close to 20% of the revenue each year. And each year we are developing new workshops and new uh, um, um, and new classes and team buildings, and we go to schools. But it all started with just a couple of prints, plastified prints, to teach the kids of the garden the different kind of insects, of macro and microorganisms that you can find in the compost. We also have these other kind of games. We try to use physical things when we can, when we are present, to always have an anchor that will keep us on the ground. And starting from, you remember those those roughly made handmade bags. Everything really changed fast, and we changed the package, and we also had a team. And once you have a team, it's the moment to consolidate, as I say, consolidate, because that's where the soul of the project really got cooked. And we consolidated. 2021 for us was the year of strengthening the foundations. And there were a couple of challenges that we had to hack. One of them was, well, this is the team, consolidating the team. We had new T-shirts, more people. Even we started having our own families, and it was a lot of fun. It was the moments we were being able to take out the face masks for the first time in a while. So sun was shining. We were happy. And in 2021, also, we worked a lot about. We realized we had three aspects of the service that we had to reinvent, because nobody had invented it before, which is logistics, storage, and composting per se. Why logistics? Because we wanted, and still are being able to do it in a low emission, with a low emission matrix of vehicles. And we wanted it to do it in bike, because the streets of downtown Barcelona usually are close to the traffic. If you come from European cities, you may know that, like, downtown is really cumbersome to get inside with a truck or with a car. So we did everything. We still do everything by bike when you go to downtown. And then it's containerization or storage or transport, which is also part of the logistics. We saw that organic waste is often transported in large scale containers that have these loose lids that don't close. So you have the problem of drips and smells and pests and flies. And we knew that was not the proper way to transport something that it's really heavy, really dense, that it will lose water, so it will be dripping if it's not airtight. So we tried a gazillion different type of containers. These round ones were not the chosen ones at the end, and we had a moment that we had to vote for it, because round containers are easier to clean, and they are easier to store, and they are more resistant because it's an arc, as mechanically speaking. But there's always unused space when you pile them up. So we even calculated with the radiuses of the containers what was the percentage of storage space that we were not being able to use. So, and we ended up using rectangular containers. As you may see, you remember that, well, I'll go really fast. You remember how we started it, and we knew that these drop off points had to be more ephemeral, had to be, we should be able to set it up and set it and put it down in just a minute, and giving the idea of aerial and ephemeris as the organic waste per se. So we converted everything into this. We usually say it's like if Apple Macintosh would do your waste management. So we developed these easy pliable, in and out small table with a small scale, so that we can weigh everything. Rectangular airtight containers, white, to emit the idea of cleanness. And as these waste and as these debris, these food scraps will really fast turn into compost, as fast as that, we should be able to put up and down a drop off point. And so we started with moving everything with a really small container, and we ended up with this large bicycle cargo bike, electric cargo bike, that can move 300 kilograms at a time. And one more thing we developed was the part of the fun, of the gamification for the community. Um, we have been weighing every single gram of organic matter that has entered our system since 2020. And at the beginning, MVP, you have to go with the minimums and then you scale up the technology once you need it. And so at the beginning, we just got a paper with paper and a pen, and we wrote down the names of the people, and we wrote down by hand all the each gram, as you may see here, we weighed. But then we developed this Abono Pass, which was just a QR that give you the information of the people, being that information an email, a postal code, the amount of people that live in that house, in that household, and so that you can connect the metrics of the moment you're weighing to a database. And the community, this more than 400 households that came over to the compost site, they had there is Abono Pass. Some had it printed them and plastified, others had it in their cell phones, and so everything was almost the same, if you think about it technically. But it was a revolution in the for the users in speaking about user experience and gamification. And by the end of 2021, we did these community-based communications strategy project, where each person that received the compost bag, we took a picture of them, and then we made these collages. This is just one of them, but it was like there were like 10 or 20 of these, and we posted them everywhere, and that gave us a lot of visibility with the people in the here in the city. Uh, but have in mind that up to this moment, all this drop off, all this work, all the development, everything was being bootstrapped by us. We had no money whatsoever. We received no funding from no one. We weren't monetizing it yet. We didn't know how. We were really afraid of start charging the people, because people said that this should be covered by the town hall, and why should I pay and stuff. So, some others would like to pay, but others no. We didn't want to kill the magic, and I know that for entrepreneurs, that's a really critical aspect of developing your know-how. Is like when and how and what to charge for your services. So we knew there was something going on, because we were learning how to manage and move around organic matter in the city in the most efficient and in the most sustainable way. We were learning. We were in a really fast learning curve, and what we knew is that we couldn't hold it for long, not much longer. So we kept on going till 2022, when we decided to make a pivot into a B2B to B, because uh, we knew that there was a whole political movement around what we were doing, but that would take time, and we felt like floating in the middle of the ocean in a raft, grabbed to a wooden plank, and there was this large line cruiser coming for us, that eventually it would pick us up. This movement, this change in habits, but we had to sustain ourselves in some way. So we pivoted really fast into a service for businesses. And I would love to say that it was we sought for it, but actually we have been really good at inbound, receiving inbound. We show ourselves what we do, and we receive offers and contacts from the outside of people that find it nice what we do, and they are in need. So we had our two first paying customers, which is a cooperative supermarket and a brunch and drinks place here in Barcelona. They both are still enlisted at the Urban Compost Network so far. They've been composting for more than 2 years. And in 2022, sadly, we stopped doing the drop-off point for free. We then got back there this year, but a little bit more to go. But as we were having these first paying customers, we knew we had to scale up, So we had a friend that had rented was renting this greenhouse next to this one, and this greenhouse was part of the rent, but it was run down. So he said, okay, you can rent it if you put it up. Like, you can use it. You rent it to me really cheap, but there is no much luxury to it. But we got into it and we constructed and we kept on working as a group, and we developed these large or mid-scale vermicomposting semi-automatic beds in where we keep on doing our compost nowadays. And so we kept on growing the technologies. Then in 2023,
I have a question,
yeah,
Mickey.
you and
What Yeah, what do you mean for semi-automatic? How do they work?
remember the first prototype. There was this orange thing with the scaffoldings it had a grill in the bottom where you had to
Mm-hmm.
put a rake upside down and you scrape, right, the compost
Yeah.
outside of it. You feed it on top and you scrape it from the bottom. These these are semi-automatic because first of all you have a watering system, an automatic watering system with a timer that
Okay.
will sprinkle water on top of the worm bit, so the watering is automatic. And then we with a levy and with a pulley we designed a system that it has a cutting it's a cutting bar that would go through the whole of the. Let me see if there is a picture. You see over here that there is a grill,
Yeah.
right? And here in this picture, the cutting bar is not installed yet, but
Okay.
that cutting bar goes parallel to this grill at the bottom,
Yeah.
and it has a metal has a string that it pulls it to one end or to the other. So you just use this pulley and tiki, 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 tiki,
Mm-hmm.
tiki, and then the cotton
Okay.
bar will go from one end to the other, and the compost falls on the bottom part. So it makes it really easy and really fast and really homogeneous the way that you can harvest the compost.
Great. Thanks.
Actually, this over here that you see is a top part and a bottom part. They are exactly the same. This is another concept that we have been developing, that we see that lots of people are talking about vertical farming, which is a great hype, which is great. But no one's talking about vertical composting. So this all started in the garden because they just in the community garden when we started, we were given just a small space and we needed to multiply the amount of compost that we could do. So we said, let's go up. We're in the city. Let's do stories. No, let's pile up the composting systems. And so we invented these modular, let's say, scalable and pileable vermicomposting systems. Here we have a limit because there's a structure of the greenhouse, so we couldn't go more than 2 stories. And now we actually made them a little lower, so we could put three over here. But our sci-fi idea for this would be a huge warehouse, 8 stories high, 100 like eight levels of vermicomposting in parallel. So it's a way that you can multiply by two, by three, or by four the amount of compost that you can do in the same square meterage. I think that's right. That's something really interesting about design. And one more thing is that we are the only ones that have been developing this idea of using textiles, right? Usually the composting systems are all rigid, and that adds a lot of weight to the system that it's unused. You could use plywood or you could use metal to the sides of these worm beds. But when you use textiles, first of all, it's easier. It's better for the breathing of the system. It's more oxygen into it because these are transpirable textiles, and you take out a lot of weight to it, so you can go up and you have a lesser requirements for foundations. I don't remember if you see here we are putting in place the foundations, then we dug these pilots, these foundations, singular for each leg, and we did these foundations with compacted stone here. Well, 2023. This is what we call the year for the big leap. Um, you remember that I told you that we did this drop off point for a while, for a couple of for more than a year. We didn't know really what for besides learning, but we knew something was coming out of it. And so it was in January 2023 that we received this email from the head producer of the largest techno festival in the Mediterranean. It's called Sonar. We couldn't believe our eyes. Like, is that really at sonar.es? Are we really receiving an email from the producers of Sonar? And it was true. So they reached out to us because they wanted to do something with composting and with compostable dishware. And the husband of Itzia, which is the head producer of Sonar, was one of the people that dropped his organics at this farmers market. And so Itzia was in a doubt, like, what can I do? And so her husband told her, why don't you reach out to these guys? Maybe they can do it. And so they emailed us. And when opportunity knocks at your door, you say, of course I will do it, and I can. So we hung the phone with Sonar, and so we looked at each other, and this is on, and we have no idea what we're doing, but we will do it. And I think that's the boldness and the chivalry that it's needed, and you have to be a little bit fearless when you start a new line of work, a new line of business. And this 2023 was a great year. We spent a gazillion hours talking about how we were going to be able to do the service for Sonar. We didn't have the containers. Nobody has ever done it before. We were the first people in the history of Spanish festivals to do so, to recover organic matter and compost it. And luckily, we gathered up a great team. Some of them that are still tied with us here together, and we invented we this service. So the thing is that we understood that the flux of organic matter, you can separate it in two streams. One is the back kitchen of the food trucks and all the catering of the stuff and where the food is produced, right? That's where you get the, again, dense, humid, problematic, reactive organic waste, where you get the salads cut, where they throw the hamburgers that are no good, all the food per se. But when you go to a festival and you're paying like 15 euros a burger, you are not leaving any burger after. You're eating the whole of it. And 99% of the organic waste that is produced by the public is just cardboard, it's just a compostable plate, it's paper napkins. So once you understand that and you separate the streams of generation of organic waste, you you can give the proper service. So our service for festivals, which is something that's been growing on, and actually this year we are doing it with 5 more festivals. So I think it's something that the festival producers are in need of. You We do first a consultancy for them, a service that we contact each and every single one of the food trucks providers or catering providers, and we tell them, okay, we need to comply with these certain aspects. All material has to be compostable. You have to give me the records of each of these dishware so that we can check it up on internet and see if it's compostable. And if it's not compostable, you're not going to be able to use it. You're not going to be able to use monodose of ketchup and mayonnaise and stuff. You cannot give any more like plastic straws, plastic cups, anything. Everything that leaves the food truck has to be compostable. So that's when you're able to set that up, you're able to set a perimeter. That's what we call a compostability perimeter. And then it's like hunting in the zoo. The public, whatever the public has with them, is compostable because they are not allowed to take inside the festival their own food, their own bottles, and the glasses are how you say, you have to give them back. They have a price added to them, and once you give it back, they give you the money back. So you don't see much plastic cups running around because that's money. And in that way, we were able to, in the first year alone, we recovered more than 1,000 kilograms of compostable organic material. And actually, we went back. Sorry, we also developed these claws. Which not we didn't develop them; we bought them, but they are used to pick up dry leaves from the gardens. And we realized that we were working with sort of like dry leaves, these napkins, the cardboards, the trays, the compostable plates. So we bought these claws to pick up and empty the compost bins. We also developed these uniforms that we put lights on our heads. The idea was to make it fun, also the user experience always at front. And we had to make it with attitude, because when you go into techno festivals, I'm not actually that much of the techno world, but if you go inside, you have to live up to it. And this is the picture of that. That is the end. We now it's a habit for us. We pose as hunters in front of their prey, but we just hunt organic waste. And it was really fun. And 2024, once we started working with this first festival, of course, it opens a lot of opportunities, because the community will look to what innovators are doing. And so for us, 2024 was a year of scaling up and also scaling sideways. That's when we realized we had value to add, not only with compost, but we also, well, by 2024 we were already working with all these clients, which is some of them. This is hotels. These are corporate premises. This is a dishware provider. It's a restaurant. They make cacao. Brunch. It's another festival. Sonar, Cruia, three festivals. Schools. We were even outreached by the Agencia de Residuos, the municipal waste agency, and we designed something new. It's called the Trash Patrol, because we believe that organic waste is the most important one to tackle and tame, because actually in landfills, the fraction that emits CO2, it's the organic. It's not plastic, it's not the glass, it's not the metals, it's the organic waste that rots anaerobically, the one that emits CO2. So that was our first go-to problem to tackle. But then the festivals saw that we were up to the challenge. So we pitched a couple of times our service of organic squad, the idea of recovering organic matter from festivals. But then they said, yeah, I like it, but what if you help me out with all the waste? Don't manage it, but help me out, like setting up my framework. I want you to be there, to be my eyes and my ears, to audit everything that's got to be with waste regarding our festival. So we developed the trash patrol. That's why I was saying that it's not only compost. Now it's like we go holistic with waste management. And in 2024, we worked with Cruia, which is the one of the best festivals, the most local, the most iconic of Barcelona, rock festival. And we were working side to side with the town hall waste providers, and we were building up this framework with special blueprints, recalculating the amount of containers, taking pictures, auditing all the process. For the first time, we were able to recover batteries. These batteries used to end up God knows where, but we set up this. We understood the flags of people and the waste generation, so we put or these bins, these 10-liter bins everywhere. Or we gave them to the sound engineers of the back of house of the stages, so they put in there all their batteries. We were able to recover these. These are all reusable plastic cups, and so we had these protocols that we developed for the client, and it changed completely the line of work and the objectives for waste management for this festival. Actually, this year again, we are repeating with them, and hopefully for quite a long time, because these kind of changes for large scale festivals won't happen overnight. Okay, in 2025, this is where we are. Here we are. This picture was taken last week by the closing of 2025 sonar. We have the containers, we have the compost bins, we recovered all the organic matter, we have a well synchronized team. And you remember the first picture where we started in the garden, in that tiny, in that corner with just some pallets and some shreddings piled up. Slowly, time by time, step by step, we grew into this a medium scale composting site. Over here, behind the curtains, is where we have the worm beds, those semi automatic worm beds that you saw. We keep it covered because worms like darkness. And as you see, we have both composting cases, this compost, and vermicompost in the back, because our protocol is a blend that we use the good parts of compost and vermicompost. The vermicompost product, the end product is way better, but worms are really fragile. They are alive, so you have to take good care of them. So when you first do a quick pre-compost and you use temperature of thermophile compost, you are able to make the materials homogeneous. You kill all the seeds. You sanitize the waste scrap, the pre-compost, and then you feed it to the worms. And that's how we do our compost. That's the recipe of the Coca-Cola. And soon there it will be no story if I don't make a brief look into the future. What we saw working with festivals and with large scale companies and communities, that the data of the waste, and the waste per se, the physical waste and the digital aspect, it's completely fragmented. So what we are developing right now, we've earned some fundings from the EU to blend all this service of trash patrol and bridge this gap in between the physical, no, the real, no, the garbage per se, and the data that is in some Google Drive, everything fragmented. We're gonna bridge it with a concept that's called Chief Waste Officer as a Service. And so we are developing our own software that will have both inside, it's a hybrid. It will have an live set trash patrol that puts the boots and goes to where the waste is being done, and a software that can harvest all the information that the trash patrol will feed to this system, and everything will be articulated inside a easy to use, really simple software. Sometimes best solutions are the simplest ones. But never forget where you start. Any questions?
Thanks, Mickey, for your presentation. It was very interesting, and once again, congratulations for what you have been doing so far and for all the great ideas and purposes. And it's very nice to conclude the the presentation like this. I don't know if there are any questions from the audience, but I personally have one, and it's just out of curiosity. Um, do you also, or did you find a way, or do you collect the, let's say, tea compost from the vermicompost, like the liquid
Well,
that,
see,
because I've heard that it's like a
but
very
there's a large misconception on that,
okay,
and I get this often.
okay,
What you harvest from the system, like straight out of the tap, no, del rubinetto, that's not tea compost. That's
okay.
leachate. Okay, leachate is okay because it drags along its water that has been water. It goes through the mixture from the top part, which is immature, to the bottom part, which is more composted, and
Mm-hmm.
it drags nutrients, which is okay. But it will also drag all kind of microorganisms, ranging from anaerobic, which are bad for health, to some aerobic, which are beneficial. So in the end, the leachate, first of all, that's why you have to dilute it, because it's really strong. It has a lot of acids.
Mm-hmm.
The pH is not the proper one. You may have microorganisms that are not beneficial for human beings. So first of all, you have to dilute it, and you have to use it as you cannot spray it on the leaves. Like if you're gonna have edibles like lettuce or cabbage, you cannot spread it. You cannot spray it on the leaves. Compost tea is when you get a mature extract, I mean, a mature piece of compost or vermicompost. It's mature, it's well done, it's harvested, it's ready to use, and then you infuse it into cold water. You get a water, a dechlorinated water, which you can get by using a filter, buying mineral water, or just filling a container with water and let it stay overnight. It will lose the chlorine. Why do we need it to have no chlorine? Because chlorine kills microorganisms. Chlorine is in the tap water to kill E.
Yeah.
coli and stuff. But as it will kill E. coli, it will also kill all the good nematodes, fungi, all the good stuff, right? So it's not the same taking leachate out of the system than doing tea. Doing tea is getting mature compost, putting it in water, dechlorinated water, shaking it up, and then you have this caramel colored water that's ready to use. And that caramel colored water, you don't have to dilute it. You can spray it on leaves. You can use it as it is, and it's actually the best thing you can add to to a soil.
Yeah.
The leachate is okay because it's a way of using a byproduct. But again, you have to dilute it. You have to water
Yeah.
it to the soil. It's not the same. Both are okay, but it's like comparing having a glass of Coca Cola to having a freshly squeezed orange juice. Like
Yeah, I think there is a you said right, there is a lot of misconception about this because yeah, I had a completely different idea. Thanks
and I
for
tell you something. Actually, compost when it's perfectly done, you shouldn't have no leachate because you have just the right amount of humidity at the top part, and then the end in the bottom part of the vermicompost it's already at 60% humidity, so it's ready to harvest.
hmm.
If you have a lot of leachate, you have an excess of water, so you will have to dry the harvested compost at the end. The idea is humidity at the top, and at the bottom part it's not dry, but it's 50 to 60% humidity, so you shouldn't have leachate.
Okay, thank you.
You're
We
welcome.
have a question. I will repeat the question from Leopold. He is asking where is possible to find info about the software that you are developing, the one probably you
You have
mentioned.
to come over and have coffee with me because we don't even have the white paper yet. We were assigned this funding of the EU just a month ago, and actually today at 4 I have my second meeting with a supplier of software development, and the framework is already developed because we already work with the clients, but we have it like some Google forms, then we have some spreadsheets, and then we
Yeah.
have Notion. The idea is to get all that scattered world and compile it into a software. There is no information yet so far. Actually, that what I've shown you is a spoiler,
Okay.
total spoiler. But go ahead and spread the news. We're more than happy about it. So,
Of
why
course.
Leopold? Do you work in festivals or productions? I'm in Austria. How can we exchange? Well,
Yeah,
you have to buy me a first class ticket to Vienna first of all, if you want. No, just joking. Do you work in productions? Do you work in festivals?
uh, actually, we are FAB region Südburgenland. So we are on the countryside in Austria. Uh, yeah, and you mentioned a lot of interesting things, but unfortunately, the homepage is only in Spanish. And so maybe can you give me your email so we can get in contact?
Of course. Actually, I will write it down here at the chat. I love to receive emails. We can schedule a call if you happen to be at Barcelona. Sometimes we'll get that coffee ao vivo live set. But else, there's my email at the chat. We have a lot of information. We have a lot of trial and errors done. We already have composted more than 150 tons, and you know it's not linear, so now we're spinning up. Now we're at about 12 tons per month. We are doing possible what seemed to be impossible.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there a way
Great.
to,
Yeah, answering
okay.
Caroline, just wanted to tell you that we are going to upload the registration in our YouTube channel in the next week, hopefully. So feel free to I will send you the link in 1 second.
There's one
to
question. Leopold was asking how can he find information about composting. Leopold, there is tons and tons and tons of information, but I'm not saying that I read them all, but I read quite a few books, and I have 2 books that are the best. So write me an email, and I will send you the PDFs or the links to the books. They are so simple. I actually read a 500 pages treatise on vermicomposting, and then I read the manual of 50 pages, and I had everything in
Yeah.
50 pages. I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine, for
Great.
the good thoughts.
Great. I don't know if there are any other questions from the audience. If not, as stated, once again, Minky, it has been a wonderful pleasure to have you here. It was super interesting, and it's very nice to see these in hand experiences. So as Caroline was asking, also we have registered the call, and we are going to upload it in our YouTube channel. And for those who are here, so it was a pleasure. Thank you very much. In the next weeks, we are going to have another set of roundtables, and let's see soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mickey.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye.